Welcome and good evening to Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. This is Raph streaming to you live in the Jeweler's Keep. Tonight we have a very exciting episode with lots of stuff going on, both recent developments, patch updates. We have a Fight Club tournament going on at the moment. Grady just got off of doing 16 hours of streaming, so he's ready to do another 16 hours of streaming. So, all right. So, first guest, I already mentioned his name, Grady. How you doing tonight?
Hey, loving life. I'm still in bed. Got heroes to level up, baby.
Right on, right on.
Yes.
All right, Neindorf, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. It's good to be back to it. I was away for a bit, so I'm excited to come back in and see kind of how some of this tournament stuff winds to a close. See who gets that gold.
Excellent, very good. Franz, how are you tonight?
Doing great. Ready to talk some DFK, some Fight Club, have some fun.
Yeah, all right. Last but not least, Guy Kid, what's going on?
Not much. Doing well here. Love seeing the Friday patch notes. That's always a fun surprise to see in the DFK announcements.
Yeah, really surprising to see that drop so soon. And we'll also have Maddie. He'll be joining us, one of our fellow guildmates and another bogside chat member here probably in a few minutes. So let's start out with, there's so many different places we could start, but let's go to Dark Summoning first. Grady, why don't you give us the quick rundown of what have you been doing? I think by now most of our listeners, they know what Dark Summoning is. What have you been doing? I know you've had a fair amount of luck with yours, and I imagine a few rugs as well. So tell me maybe what's your best Dark Summoning strategy that you've been working up?
Okay. Yeah. So I've been hesitant to jump too much into it. So the other night I did several. I don't even know how many. For hours I was trying to pair the right pairs and this and that. And I got so unbelievably rugged that night. And I was just like, man, this Dark Summoning, crazy. And I keep hearing more and more people getting rugged. Then last night I did 3 right at the end of the stream and smashed all 3 of them. So I was going through, I've got a lot of priests and wizards, and I was burning them, and I hit my first one. I hit a mythic from 2 rares, and it was a common mythic something, and no advanced abilities hit, but hey, mythic. Then the next one, I did a rare common priest wizard combo and nailed a mythic summoner ninja subclass.
Excellent.
And,
wow.
Oh man, that's one of the best. It's I want to say possibly the first time I've ever mutated into a mythic.
Wow, that's really nice.
I've hit tons of mythics, but it's like I never mutate into a mythic. And then the third one I hit a summoner again, rare that time.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so that was fun. None of the abilities hit, so I was like, dang it. But it's hard. It's so rare to ever hit on everything.
Yeah,
so
it is. So I haven't done any summoning yet, and I just opened up the Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms app, and Neindorf tipped me off that there is now a new box to check here for Dark Summoning. What do you have going on right now, Neindorf? Why don't you give us an update on this?
Yeah, so it kind of started with someone was pointing out to me, I think it was Sir Worm actually, that the existing hero matching page would give you bad pairs every once in a while if you had the right things set up in there. So I was fixing that, and I was like, you know what? While I'm here, the rules aren't. I was reading through the chatter in our Discord, and so the rules kind of became known to me. So I did my best to put in the rules for Dark Summoning. There's a checkbox at the top where you can kind of say, hey, this hero matching is meant for Dark Summoning, and you kind of switch out the rules. So you should be able to get results either for or not for Dark Summoning on hero matching based on, kind of what were you trying to do, right? So guys, let me know if something's not quite right. I think I got it in there, but it's pretty cool.
All right, I'm giving it a live try right now. Oh yeah. So I love this. You can now see 0 out of 5 summons, which is excellent. And so right now I have a mythic paladin that I'm thinking about summoning, but trying to find a dark knight where I can mutate abilities to level them up. I'm just going to go ahead and punch this in right now on stream. See if I can find 3 abilities to pair. Ooh, there is 1 pair. All right, so oh, and I didn't click the right thing here. I clicked any sale or rental status. Okay, so there's only 1 out there in the world. Let me click 2, and then see if I can find any ones to buy.
You should
just
see
kinda curious.
who owns that one with 3. You might get lucky and it be a guild member or somebody that we know around the community.
Yeah, I should. I'll look into that later. It doesn't look like I have any 2s. A few 1s out there. Well, that's a pretty expensive way to try to go for a 15% upgrade on an ability. So Franz, you mentioned that you've been searching the old-fashioned way all day long. What are you looking for, and what's your dark summoning strategy?
Yeah, the ability matches are paramount. I feel like with not having to worry about the amount of summons, it's just opening up many more opportunities to get 2+ ability matches. But as far as I haven't dark summoned 2 of my heroes together yet. What I've done is found a hero that's been lagging on the level ups. Like, maybe I had one, it was a level 7 that had the same amount of stats as most of my level 5s. So it's like, all right, this guy's about 2 levels behind right now. I don't really see him picking it back up. Let's send them to the chopping block. So I'll find a match.
Send him to the grinder.
Yeah. But the good thing is, the tavern, it hasn't really reacted yet as far as the floor's gone up, but I'm still able to find matches with no summons for 40 crystal, 50 crystal, and the dark summon itself is so cheap that it's like, yeah, why not?
That's awesome. Guy Kid, what have you done any dark summons yet, and what's your strategy right now?
I've done a couple, and I wish I had a strategy. I just took mutation chances of people that really had no summons left, or my 5 of 10 Gen 1s that had just kind of been lingering around. And I sent them in. I actually had it's funny because you remember your Gen 1 pairs back from like when you summoned them from 10 out of 10 down to 5 out of 10. So I had a triple recessive archer that I was like, oh yeah, this guy's a thing. And so I found a thief paired with them. So I had like something like a 24% chance of a dark knight.
Nice.
And of course I got a thief, but I also got a rare thief. So I turned an uncommon and a common into a rare, which was nice.
That's pretty good. Neindorf, I know you got a big boy roll the other day. What'd you get? Neindorf, are you there?
Find that mute button.
Oh, yep, there it is. Thank you. Too many windows. Yeah, I was looking around and I had basically a garbage archer that had it was a floor archer, let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you know what, I'll just punch it in and see what comes up. And there was someone who had 2 or 3 matches and two visuals. And I was like, all right, it was 45 crystal. I was like, all right, let's try this. So it was an uncommon and a common, archer and a thief. And I ended up with a pirate, which I wasn't too happy about Steve until I clicked on him and saw that it was legendary. So that was pretty cool to upgrade from common and uncommon to legendary. And then he was also a miner with purple strength and 2 advanced abilities. I was like, oh, okay. So I've only done the 1 dark summon, and I'm going to stop there for a moment because, it's just going to be downhill for a bit after that one.
Right. It's kind of like when you hit your dread. Now, Grady, are you thinking about summoning with dreads, and what would that strategy look like?
Yeah, so strategy wise. So first of all, couple tips that I just keep realizing more and more. That the number one benefit I would say in this whole thing is the floor rarity. Because your increased odds of rarity, though it is significant percentage wise, it's nothing crazy at all, even using the summons and stuff, all that helps a lot, but it's nothing crazy. So we're just talking a couple percentage points, like at best, or a few, maybe like if you have 10 out of 10 summons on both heroes. So like definitely on common heroes, when you're summoning two commons together, I mean, but it's still such a low chance to hit, especially hitting mythic or legendary. But it is significant in the grand scheme of things when you're looking over this. If you look at 100, or if you look at like 10,000 summons worth, you're going to have a lot more mythics and legendaries in that sample size. But so the biggest thing is you never want to round down with rarity, as I would say. I mean, unless you just, it's like, I don't know, even if it's the perfect match, if you're ever going to round down on rarity, you want to do a common with an uncommon. But if you're summoning with a common and a legendary, for example, your floor is just uncommon. So you're throwing away a legendary we're all a bunch of absolute degenerates here doing this. So, hey, whatever, however we want to roll. And then also you only want to do a common with a rare, generally speaking, a common with a rare. And the only time I would almost never recommend ever summoning with a mythic or a legendary, unless you're summoning maybe, which tons of people have gotten rugged, with a common Dread Knight and a mythic basic hero. I would never do a mythic advanced or better hero. So a common Dread Knight with a mythic basic hero, that gives you a 37.5% chance to hit a Dread Knight, and then you're guaranteed a rare. And even that, I've heard a lot of stories here. Who was it that really he did 9 in a row and hit 0 Dread Knights?
9 Dread Knights he burned? Oh,
he burned 9 Dread Knights, hit 0.
Oh, that hurts my heart.
Yeah, I know, right? The chances of that happening is like 1%. Someone did the chances. 1.5% to actually do that.
And then I like what you're saying. I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I just,
I think what I'm really interested in the most about too is being able to convert some heroes that have leveled up absolutely terribly into a new hero. So, Raph, I don't know if you remember now, but I've talked with you on stream in the past about a legendary Dark Knight I have. Yeah. And he's got garbage hit points, and his stats have just not leveled up well at all. So he's like level 9 or level 10. If I find another legendary paladin to go with him, that could, or even a rare. See, I don't know if I even want to go down to rare.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do a legendary and a rare, because then your floor is still just a rare.
Correct. So I want to find a legendary paladin that matches.
Yeah, because at least you're guaranteed hitting a legendary in that scenario, and that's a big difference. Like in the tavern, and then also you never want to do a mythic with a legendary. And when I say never, I mean generally speaking. But and then the only time I would ever maybe consider a legendary, even using a legendary period, is with an uncommon Dread Knight.
Sure.
A basic hero legendary with an uncommon Dread Knight, maybe. So then again, you're guaranteed a rare, or a rare Dread Knight with a mythic basic hero. Then you're guaranteed a legendary. And that's where, if you have a bunch, like a lot of people, I don't even know how much I feel good about doing like 2 common, like a sage and a dragoon common even. I mean, maybe, because like you're probably just going to, even if you hit the dread, it'll probably be it's a 7% chance. And even if you hit the dread, it's probably going to be common. So, I mean, you're really throwing a lot down the drain.
And common and mythic, do they round to rare, or does that go to uncommon?
It's guaranteed to rare. Yep,
guaranteed to rare.
So that's the biggest benefit of the dark summoning. Is the 2 big benefits are, one, the rarity floor. being just that's pretty significant. Getting guaranteed a rare Dread Knight. I mean, if you hit Dread Knight, 37
Yep.
Yeah. And then you're guaranteed a rare. You don't have to worry about the rarity. So the rarity is so hard to hit. But then also the other big benefit is being able to throw away your garbage heroes, or, just common. If you have lots of commons, so like even in advanced class, if you got common summoner and even like a common rare combo, guaranteed a uncommon is maybe okay, but especially hitting those, having two commons, let's say you've got a common Dark Knight and a common Paladin, and they both, especially if they both have 5 out of 5 summons, and they're just not anything that's probably going to dominate in PvP. Well, and then you can use all those 5 summons and get, or even 0 summons, whatever. You just have those increased rarity chances, and then you happen to hit a rare or a legendary Dragoon, man, or even, with the increased chances also to even hit a mythic in that scenario, especially if you're using the summons, it really does kind of put you into your regular, like rare. If you have, what was it? If you have 10 summons you're using, somebody did the math where if you're using 10, or if you're using 20 summons, it basically gives you the same chances as if you're summoning with a rare. So in that scenario, if you're using like a Paladin and a Dark Knight, both common, and they both have 5 summons remaining, that's equivalent to summoning with 2 uncommons in the rarity sheet. Plus you get a 50% increased chances on top of that, which is very small. It goes from 0.2% chances for a mythic to 0.3 is all. But that's a 50% increase.
Right.
But then on top
overall, it's still small. Well, that's wow. My head's spinning now. There's like more options than I was originally thinking about.
So the biggest takeaway is you don't want to be doing a ton of dark summoning. And the other big benefit right now is that we're getting raffle tickets, and we're talking 75 Gen Zeros given out.
It's a lot.
And there's not and we have 11 days or 12 days, or something, versus on the regular summoning raffle, we have close to a month. And there's going to be a zillion raffle tickets in that one, winning 75 Gen Zeros. But in the dark summoning, the pool is going to, and the number of raffle tickets, first of all, the time is half the time or less to be able to, get those tickets, and just way fewer people are doing that. So that the team does this, right? They throw these curveballs at you, and they give incentive to do things when it's like it's fun. So it might tip the scales to dark summon maybe a little more often than what you otherwise would because of the raffle tickets.
That's wild. So that, and dark summoning's not the only thing that's new right now. Let's jump over to Franz to talk a little bit about the Fight Club tournament that we have going on. So I'm going to jump into Discord over at Fight Club. What do we have going on with this tournament? We hosted one about a month ago, and this is our 4th Fight Club tournament?
Ooh, yeah, it is 4th. Got a few under our belt now. It's the first one that we've tried to kind of change up a little bit, though. We've been playing it safe with the single elimination, bracket so far. Wanted to make sure everything just ran smoothly, but we went with the group stages this time, and I'd be interested to hear what other people thought, but I'm loving it so far. Just the idea that you get those 2 losses, you're getting at least 2 games, sometimes 3 games, and if you advance, even more than that.
Right. And Guy Kid, have you gotten a couple matches in under your belt?
Yeah, I've gotten a couple in myself, and like Franz was saying, the double elimination for this group stage has really helped. We've had a couple people who, and that's kind of the point that we do the tournaments too. We've got a couple people that have played the game for the first time in these tournaments. They saw their prize pools and then they actually jumped into a game and they're like, oh, there's actually a lot in these game mechanics here. So it gives them a chance to kind of not be one and done. It's nice your second round match or whatever, if you will be against someone who has also lost their first match. So it might be a little more even leveled in that regards. But I mean, all we want to do is get people in here, get people playing, and I think we've been doing just that with this tournament.
Nice, and I think we're starting to get really close to having raffle tickets launch with battles inside Fight Club. That's pretty exciting. We had a good call with the DeFi Kingdoms team this week, and with Joseph, the developer for Fight Club, and I think we're moving forward. I would say it's been a bit of a trying or challenging road trying to work through those dynamics, but I think we're in the right place now. So, what else do we have?
I give you guys a big fat shout out. So, absolute phenomenal job. Shout out to the bogside chats, Franz, Matty Pesk, Guy Kid, and Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms with Raph and Neindorf for putting this on, and all the time you put into, like, that's not easy to set up the brackets and to do all this and that. And it's just the game is phenomenal. Shout out to Tylus, and I'm just pumped. I love it, even though I'm Mr. All the Wrong Moves and got smoked. Couldn't believe it. You guys, it's just awesome. It's a phenomenal thing for the project and the community. I love it. Love you guys.
Cheers. Thanks, Grady.
Thank you. Yeah, and Konix or Joseph was feeling a little generous today. I'm not sure if you guys caught it, but he dropped some alpha in the tournament chat, some new moves that might be on the way, new abilities. He didn't tell us what heroes they're going to be assigned to, but he gave us the descriptions. So
baby, oh baby.
Yeah, there's a little bit of talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
He works with Tylus on it.
No, same person.
Okay. And Tylus,
I didn't realize that for a while. I was talking to them separately in two different DM chains.
Yeah, if you remember the movie Fight Club, it's just like Edward Norton and Brad Pitt. I didn't realize it either at first.
I love it, and he's not even making money on this yet.
Yeah,
he's doing all this time and blood, sweat, and tears to put into this.
Yeah, it was like around 1:00 today that I don't know what triggered him to go off, but he just kind of like shared his roadmap of what he's building with the dungeon crawler. I think Pouring had asked like, hey, win new abilities, and Tylus, Konix, whatever you want to call him, Brad Pitt, was like, here's 15 new abilities that I'm working on, as well as a little snippet into a dungeon crawler I have in mind too.
Yeah.
Okay, what's dungeon crawler?
So that's more of like you move your heroes through a maze, if you will, to go collect loot and treasure chests and things of that nature.
I didn't see this.
Like
so
Doom, right? Would Doom be considered the original dungeon crawler? Or is that a different category?
I mean, it is a dungeon crawler. I don't know if the original. But Raph, I did just drop into the Discord chat here the link to the message that Konix sent. If you want to click on it, it'll show the dungeon crawler little snippet picture that he shared.
Yeah.
Into the ADFK admins general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Admins.
Ooh la la.
Oh, now I got to figure out how to open this in.
Yeah. Sorry, I just made your life harder.
No, it's okay. It was in tournament chat. Okay.
But yeah, it's just exciting to see what he has going on behind the scenes and what he's kind of building towards. Like, I feel like in my mind, it's just been raffle tickets, can't wait. It's going to be awesome. But like, he's building out more and more of a game too, to go on top of that. Like, it's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, here it is. I got it up. Yeah, very excited. So it'll help you navigate and so this is so what he's been talking about is, you're navigating the dungeon, you're using Discord commands like you're doing now, and if you run into an enemy, it triggers a fight. And then that fight will incorporate using the AI teams that we're all staking. And once we get raffle tickets launched, those AI teams will have the opportunity. I don't know if it'll impact dungeon crawling for sure. I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty sure on this. Is that if you win a battle with your AI team, even if it's dungeon crawling or just regular PvE, you will get a certain number of raffle tickets just for having your team win at zero cost to you. And so this is a really exciting feature that we're working on. And I think since we're in the mood for dropping a little bit of alpha, we talked to the team about a couple features that I'm really excited to talk to you. And there's a few more that we still have in the hopper that I'm going to hold back a little bit on. But the first one is they're interested in potentially sponsoring a future tournament, helping add some prize giveaways, and helping maybe front some of those costs that we have. And then the second piece is we're actually looking into how can we gain access to not only raffle tickets, but also some of those hardcore degen items like summoning stones and summoning crystals that you can currently win out of the raffles. Can those be prizes inside this dungeon crawler or at the end of the tournament? And the answer to that is yes. And we'll be able to work with them to make sure that we can share those with all of our amazing community out there. So really excited to share those 2 bits of alpha, and I'm sure we'll continue to update more information as we go along.
Awesome. So cool. I just want more and more from this game.
Yeah. All right, so next let's talk about Seajewel. Neindorf, have you changed any of your... So Seajewel is replacing Xjewel. And in the jeweler, you can stake Jewel for any amount of time in days up to, maybe even time in minutes and days, but time in days up to 3 years. And the formula is if you deposit a single jewel inside the Seajewel for 3 years, you get 1 equivalent of that jewel. And so if you do 1 year, it's 1/3 of that jewel that you deposit. And then that kind of scales all the way down to you can deposit for 1 day or 30 days or 60 days. If you withdraw early, you lose 50% of all your jewel deposits as an incentive to stay in. And some of I'll probably go to you after I go to Neindorf here, Grady, to explain some of the benefits. But Neindorf, early strategy, how are you this is almost like another form of gardening. What are you doing right now? And are you putting anything in Seajewel? Are you waiting to see how it balances out? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's going to be really interesting, but right now it's kind of just got that promise and that potential in my mind. Like, I still sit back and you look at those 60, 70, 80% garden returns. Plus, you can have gardeners garden for extra, 5 to 10, maybe even 20%, depending on how good your heroes are. So to me, that can get you well above that rate you're going to get with Seajewel at the moment. So, I mean, I'm sure I will eventually have a Seajewel stake once there's some actual utility out of it. But for now, honestly, I think the gardens are just too juicy, and I just look forward to claiming those every Wednesday night when the rate changes, and then I got a pile of crystal to go play with. So I think I'm probably going to hold put for now and just wait for some of these new utility values for Seajewel.
And Franz and Guy Kid, I haven't had a chance to check with you guys yet. Are you using Seajewel yet?
I locked up some for a month. I didn't go the full 3 years like I was seeing everyone doing. Now, I have a question here. Maybe you guys could help. So, if you lock it up for 3 years, right? And then next week you want to go double your stake. Like, say you put 1,000 jewel in for 3 years. Next week you want to put another 1,000. That second 1,000 is on the same. It's coterminous, right? That's that
correct.
3 year time period.
Yep.
So yeah, that's why I was scared away from it a little bit. I definitely want to lock up some for 3 years. I think I might maybe need to use a second wallet for that. I don't want to lock up everything for that long.
My number of active wallets has tripled.
Well,
For
that's
this very
tricky
reason.
though, because don't they? I mean, I'm assuming that any future benefit that C Jewel would provide will be wallet bound, right?
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point.
So I think you're gonna
Really
have to be
good
real
point.
careful with that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think they've thought
It
that
just
through.
kind of.
Yeah.
It's just in my mind, it's kind of. And we talked to Cujo about this last night. And it's something that I can't remember who had been talking about it before, Grady, but kind of this four-prong strategy where you have a wallet where you stake for 3 years, a wallet where you stake for 2 years, a wallet where you stake for 1 year, and a wallet where you stake for a little more short term. And that's actually the approach that I've taken. So, and then some real numbers. I staked about 24 hours ago, and I just claimed, I don't know, what was that number? I just claimed, it doesn't tell me what it is, in total number of Joule, but it was like 26 Joule, and I have 6,000 Joule currently staked for 3 years, which I'm kind of planning on that never coming back to me. 3 years is forever away. The game's only been out for 1 year. But what would that rate of return be? So 26 Joule for
A day?
6,000.
26 Joule a day.
Yeah.
So 30 days. It's 13% a month.
Yeah, so like that's-
150% a year.
Yeah.
But
So-
so the thing of doing that with like basic math like that is as more people get into C-Joule, your percentage ownership or whatever of C-Joule will be smaller. So
down.
theoretically, your rewards will be smaller.
Yeah.
And it just depends on the math of
How
how fast the
reward
game
pool-
grows.
how
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Reward pool grows. Yeah, I think so. And I keep promising that I'll let you go, Grady. I went into this in a big way, and honestly, my number one reason for this, I'm not 100% C-Joule staking. Actually, like when it comes to 1 month or 2 months, in all honesty, it doesn't even feel like it's worth it. It ends up being, and I have a decent amount of Joule sitting there. It just feels like you might be getting 100 C-Joule, which aren't going to be earning that fast or that much. But I really am trying to avoid impermanent loss. Not financial advice, but I'm really hopeful towards Joule rebounding here in the short term, and I wanted to pull that out of the gardens and have that a little more liquid and able to start laddering some of my profits. So I have, out of my balance, it might be, I have a little bit in 3, 2, 1, and then a lot in just pure liquid Joules. So what are you doing, Grady?
Well, yeah, I have just been shocked at what's awesome about it is, like you said, you can just claim right away. And so you're hoping within a year or even less, you can get your money back out of it, especially if Joule's pumping. And then it's all gravy after that, plus all the extra benefits of in-game benefits and this and that, power-ups and airdrops they're talking about, like more than once a week, even Frisky Fox said, right? So, and voting, things like that. And so we've just seen the whole community ape in like a bunch of degenerate degens that we are for 3 years, baby.
Yeah.
And that's what took me over the top big time was I put in, and I'm still debating. So, but I put in about 16,000 Joule, which isn't necessarily a ton, but because I used to have so much and could have been so much more. I would have loved to put in more, but I'm actually debating just kind of aping in more.
Interesting.
And because for every year time lock, you get a third.
That's right.
So full 3 years, you get 1-to-1 Joule C-Joule.
Right.
Plus you're making all that interest. So what's also really bullish about it is their fee structure is just genius. The team, what they've done is, first of all, increase the amount of crystal being burned from 1% to 5% on all the in-game fees, such as not excluding, I think excluding duels. Duels already, 50% of that crystal gets burned, I think. And I want to confirm that. Like, I wish I always had Mr. Zipper in my back pocket, you know, and that'd be amazing. And having a 9-dwarf in my back pocket, we could take over the world from the development side, baby. But anyways, so fun. Anyways, I think with duels, 50% of that crystal gets burned. The other 50% goes right into the quest fund. 0% goes to the devs or anything. With everything else, summoning, leveling, now the burn of crystal has gone from 1% to 5%. Plus, there's the percentage of the dex fees, 1/6 of that also gets transferred into sold, like whatever the dex fees are, it gets so the dex fee is based off the liquidity pair. So for example, if it's Bitcoin and USDC, there's a liquidity pair fee and then part of that fee goes to like the main fund of the project, and 1/6 of that gets chopped and sold into Jewel and goes to this staking fund. And I think a percentage of also the summoning fees. What was it? I think they increased. Yes, that's right. So before on the X Jewel pool, 10% of all the summoning fees, leveling fees, and whatever other in-game fees that are in Crystal, it was 10% and Serendale of Jewel, but now it's Crystal. Now it's been increased from 10% to 15% of all those summoning fees happening right now gets sold into Jewel and gets put into this pool. So we're making more interest than we were before in the jeweler.
All right. So now the last two kind of topics that I have for the day, and I'll try to segue from all the important information you have here, Grady. I want to do some, because I'm not only a degenerate, but a lazy degenerate, I let our community and our guild produce the podcast for me. So I asked some questions on Discord chat earlier today, and I'm going to rip through a few of these for us to answer, and then I want to get into guild. So first thing, off the backs of what you're just saying, Crypto Grady, Matty Pest asks, are all jewel holders going to be rich?
Yeah.
Matty throwing the hardball questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Jewel to $100, baby.
There we go. All right, so we have J Crypto asking C Jewel versus waiting for S Jewel, pros and cons. Maybe SD 2.0 gets more fees on Caitlyn, maybe not. I think Neindorf, how would you answer this question? I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the problem is there's a lot coming, and so I think that's another reason that I'm gonna play it like business as usual, not changing anything around. I'm just waiting to see what comes so that we can better make our decisions. Like I was chatting with somebody, and I think it might have been Titan Tom came back for a bit there, and he was asking what the play was, and he's like, well, maybe I should throw some into the gardens. I was like, well, I don't know that I would start a new garden position right now because of the withdrawal penalties, because there's a lot of things that I think you're going to see here two Wednesdays from now. So me personally, I'm kind of stuck in this holding pattern until we get maybe a timeline. I think we're going to get a timeline here soon. So I until then, it's so hard to tell because you got to know that the garden rewards and Serendale 2.0, if there are any, there's always that initial when they start back up where people are getting their money in. There's going to be some great returns there. But so yeah, I don't know. It's tough. There's just a lot happening right now.
Yeah, there's some things to consider. Sorry if I'm interrupting, but some things to consider is all that locked jewel is being transferred over to both Crystal and Jade, but a percentage of that is being just thrown in our wallets as unlocked jewel. So, and everyone's just lost their ass so hard in this game there will be some potential buy pressure, in the short term. That's something to consider. Also, I want to note that this summoning event's still happening. So Crystal's still gonna be fairly bullish, probably. But once this summoning event ends, look out, man. I'm wondering if Crystal might take a pretty hard hit.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I think kind of getting back to although, I think it's a good perspective and worth pointing out that it's not just C Jewel versus S Jewel. There's also garden opportunities in Crystal Vale, future garden opportunities in Serendale 2.0. I think probably everything will eventually reach parity. But as as we found out from previous changes, sometimes it makes the most sense to hold the course, and other times it makes sense to be an early adopter. And that is why we are not investment advisors. All right. Let's go to you next, Guy Kid. Do you expect to see green and yellow egg hatching before or after the Serendale 2.0 launch? Dover himself is asking this.
I think the team is more heavily invested in getting Serendale 2.0 up and running. That being said, there's probably different team members working on the green and yellow egg hatching. So I would lean towards Serendale 2.0, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see more eggs released fairly soon.
All right. Go ahead, Franz.
Yeah, no, I mean, the mechanics are all built. There's nothing different with the blue and the gray or the green and the yellow. It's just the artwork. So you would think, it would be a little less hard for them to kind of roll that out. I still think probably Serendale 2.0, but I don't know. Could be surprised.
I think we've roughly heard a timeline. Profession Quest first, Serendale 2.0 next, and then continuing to roll out other features in parallel across both realms at the same time. So I would agree with that. All right, Franz. Mean Machine is asking, curious about how much Sigil you think will need to be locked to get the power-ups the team has mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what do we know as far as what the power-ups are, right? They mentioned more bot-like auto quester, right? Something closer to the bots, third-party bots that we use. They mentioned what else have they mentioned, right? Because I think there are going to be some big power-ups, but I could see there also being a lot of airdrops sprinkled in too. I mean, the team has every reason to incentivize heavily people locking up Sigil, right?
Yeah.
So, I think the power-ups are going to be enticing.
Yeah,
I think the biggest of those eventually will be land-based power-ups that might take a significant investment.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I could see for some of the basic power-ups, even getting 50 C Jewel for the lowest tier, and then I think you'll start to see some decent rewards, maybe in the hundreds, maybe 500 C Jewel, something like that. Neindorf, I really like your idea. Has kind of my head thinking down the road when it comes to how could they leverage this mechanism for guilds and lands, and I think that's something we've thought about and wished for in the past. So I agree with that.
Yeah, and I think that would be one way that you because as trying to run a guild or trying to get into that, the problem is how do you provide value to your guild members, right? Because that's the point. Like why are they going to be part of your guild if there's no value in it for them? And so I think if guilds are land based, then you've got to have a way to provide value back to the members of your guild as a landowner. And so that's I got to imagine that there's going to be one where, like, say, if you have so much C Jewel staked and you stake it in, maybe you built on your land a mini portal, right? And so you can get a 10% discount on summoning fees at your land because of the locked C Jewel you have. Like, that's just an idea that I've been kicking around. And I think things like that you're going to see crop up. But how much it's going to cost is going to really determine whether or not it's worth it or not.
Yeah, and then in that scenario, would you be locking up the C Jewel somewhere else in kind of like a guild bank sort of thing, or is it just going to be the cumulative amount of guild members locking
I
up
could
their
see
own seat?
I could see other people depositing. I don't know. See, this is where I don't understand the mechanism yet. I wish I would have, kind of done a little more research ahead of time. It's not a staking of C Jewel. It's kind of like you're allocating C Jewel, from what I understand. So
That's what I recall as well.
I would assume that a member of your guild could also allocate C Jewel to your building, say. So
Okay.
that's my thought at least, is that you could leverage the buying power of your entire guild to get booths. And that way the landowner needs the guild members just as much as the other way around. I think that's a very healthy way to do it.
Yeah, and I think it's also I like how it's allocating because it does create, it a little less risky for someone to allocate to the guild, but also there's some opportunity costs there because you're asking them to give up on the opportunity for some of those airdrop rewards or something like that. So I think it also helps keep the landowners accountable to making sure that they're doing what's in the best interest of the people that are allocating their jewel towards them. All right, so let's transition right there to guilds. I have here with me a full panel of team members of the Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms Guild. It's official. We're a real guild now. We have applications, we have Punch and Pie, we have signups, and
Wait,
we're
Punch and Pie?
Punch and Pie. That's right.
Where do I go for? Oh man.
And yeah, this has been something that honestly it's been a long time in the making, going on months. And Neindorf and I sat back and thought about this, and we've loved playing the game for the last year, and we want to see this going on for years to come. And some of the things that we like most about the game is the collaboration and community, which is really the kind of the cornerstone to why we decided to form a guild. Is it's so much fun to hang out with you guys either on a podcast, interact with our people on summonings night, with the Fight Club tournaments. This has been so much fun, and we want to keep this going for a while. As you know, we pulled the trigger on land a while ago. Seems to be a bit of an idle investment at the moment.
Not really sure where it is either, by the way.
Right. It's making the bridge to a new dimension, we'll call it. So Neindorf, give me your kind of brief 1-minute overview of what you're hoping to see come out of a guild.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think kind of some of the stuff we were talking about with land, where it's mutually beneficial to everyone involved, is really what I'm looking forward to. It just kind of has our heads spinning on what all these possibilities are going to be. I'm just, yeah, and there was someone else who when we were looking at purchasing land, you're talking to people and DMing them, and you're like, oh hey, guess what? We're neighbors now. Just some of that, like those crazy things that you're like what do you mean? It's a digital neighbor. Like, oh man, how did I get here? Like, I don't know. It's just cool.
All right, so Guy Kid, walk us through, if you are a inspiring guild member and you want to join, how do you get involved, or how do you submit your information to join the ADFK guild?
That's a great question. Where did we put that sign up form? It's so if you go to the ADFK Discord site, under announcements, there's a ADFK guild application. I've actually been looking at it while we've been talking here. So we've got 31 members so far, plus I believe the High Council too. So we're probably closer to 35 or 40. But very straightforward, just Google form where we just kind of want to hear from people. What are you looking to get out of a guild? Like, tell us kind of what you have for heroes, and if you're interested in PvP versus PvE. And it's been neat hearing just kind of looking through the feedback of what people have mentioned. Of, as you can imagine, a lot of people that play DFK have played other games like RuneScape or WoW or other things in the past. So we've actually already gotten some good feedback from the people who have submitted applications so far. And then so kind of perks of becoming a member. Right now our acceptance rate is very, very low. We're very selective in who we get into the guild. We've had, as I mentioned, 31 people apply, and 31 have gotten in so far. So so we're really, really cutting it tight there. But right now everyone that joins is going to be a social member. And as a little perk for that, we're going to make you an adventurer. So your name in the ADFK Discord will be a different color. And then you'll have access to a couple other channels that are guild members only from a channel's perspective. So as PvP comes closer to light and other things like that, we can start really strategizing and building out kind of our in-guild alpha, if you will.
All right, I love it. Grady, you were probably the first person with boots on the ground, feet on the street, as they say, recruiting members for us. So what's your take, and what are your thoughts on the guild so far?
I'm pumped. It's so new to me. It's so new. Yeah. So it's hilarious. Piggybacking off what was that France that just said, or maybe that was Guy Kid. What was that?
That was Guy.
Okay, Guy. A lot of people are like a little intimidated to join because they think, they don't have good enough heroes or something. And I'm like, heck no, jump in. Even if you got 10 heroes or whatever, and as it grows, you might end up having a real key hero for the game or for the team, so to speak.
Right.
I'm pumped to see. I love the community, the family aspect, not just in this guild, but just across the whole community going on right now. But it just helps bring everyone closer. I'm pumped to see like how this all pans out and what it actually develops into and looks like.
Yeah, and eventually, maybe we'll end with trying to tie back to Fight Club, which I think where the after party's going. France, what do you have in mind for some of the future tournaments and how we can incorporate social guilds into those?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, because I was gonna say we've talked about the idea of a guild based Fight Club tournament, right? So maybe not strict guilds, like we have 31 members, that would be a little hard to manage. But maybe teams of 3, and instead of one player playing someone else in a best of 3 matchup, you have 3-on-3 and each plays one. You have your first person, your leadoff hitter, you send up, plays theirs, and then whoever wins best out of 3 of those 3 matches would move on. Something with bigger teams like that, maybe we do it even a week-long type thing, kind of a larger group stages. There are a lot of different ways that we could do it. The different formats are kind of all new, so if you have any ideas out there, let us know. Yeah, can go any way with it, but I think that would be a fun way to kind of get some rivalries going between the guilds.
I absolutely love it. I think, healthy rivalries and competition, like that's what's going to keep people coming back to this and looking for more. So Ryder Cup style is what Sir Worm is asking on YouTube.
Yes.
Bogside Intern is calling out pouring. ADFK versus Perilous or versus Mythic.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's get it. We need someone to volunteer for taking the blunt of the first blow from pouring. So Bogside Intern, you have earned that role. So congratulations.
Yeah, just throw them to the wolves right off the bat.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, let's end there for the night. We've been running on for a little bit now.
Feels like we just started.
Yeah, it's about an hour, and I don't have quite the stamina that Grady does to go for a 7.5-hour podcast tonight, and I got to get to some fights over in Fight Club. So we're gonna end there for tonight. Thank you for our panel of guests. We appreciate you coming out here and listening to us. Best of luck with all of these endeavors inside the game. It's an exciting time to be here. They've really been building during this bear market, and I think there's an opportunity for this game to start shining brightly, even inside the greater crypto bear market. At least that's what I'm hoping. So for the whole team, have a good night.
Love you.
Thanks, guys.